hey YouTube. Well, today we're going to share the tale of a near accident I had.
Oh, that was close.
It's never fun sharing your own stories when you do something wrong, but this was a good lesson. Winch launching is an efficient, affordable way of getting gliders into the air. Many clubs around the world do it, and it's a great way, especially when you're starting off with your training, to do lots of takeoffs and landings in a cost-efficient way. The ideal winch launch starts with a steady acceleration on the ground, wings level. Once you feel enough acceleration and you gain enough airspeed, you can start rotating. And then we pull up into a steady climb, about 45 degrees, with a speed that's suitable for the glider. We climb, and then near the top, the winch power will usually start dropping off, and we nose over and release and go on our merry way and try and find a thermal and have a wonderful day. That's ideal. What are the things that can go wrong? Well, the rope could break at any point. The winch power could suddenly reduce or stop completely. The glider could exceed its angle of attack and stall, and that can be very dangerous on a winch, especially if you're low level. And a wing could drop on takeoff. And here's what that looks like. And you can see just how quickly this happens. Grabs there, boom. Didn't release in time. It's like less than a second. And here's a video I've made a video about before. Again, let's see how quickly it happened. Long grass, caught the wing. So when we're training to fly on the winch, one of our checklist items in New Zealand is called eventualities, where we need to think about all these things that could happen and be ready to take action, because any one of those things, if they happen, they're all something we can deal with. For example, if the rope breaks at any altitude, we can just land ahead. But you have to be very quick, and this is where it started to unravel for me. So let's run through what happened. But first, today's video is sponsored by PureTrack Radar, a new free app designed to fly with, show you in a very clear and simple way where other aircraft are relative to you, and for PureTrack Pro users, see climb rates of other gliders. So I did my checks and was waiting for the launch at the start of the video. What you don't see here is I was actually in a bit of a rush to get going. I had to muck around, get my seat comfy. I wasn't comfy when I was in there, so I slowed things down a bit. This is not an excuse, but it's just a contributing factor. There was a decent crosswind from the right, and you can see the yaw strings there. For some reason, on the launch, we moved the stick to the left a bit, and I'm not sure why, but as soon as we did that, the right wing lifted, and the wind caught it, and the left wing went down and dragged along the ground. As soon as that wing started going down, I should have been on the release. The left wing dragged on the ground, and I had full right aileron, and eventually we had enough airspeed where the wings did level off again, and I continued the launch. I ended up pulling into the rotation and pulling up a bit steep, probably because I was a bit rattled by what had just happened, and after my rotation I'd realised what I'd just done and how bad it was. And it was amazing just how long it took my brain to register. Biggest mistake was not focusing on my eventualities and having releasing on a wing drop at the top of my mind, which would have made it quicker and faster for me to react to that. By the time I'd realised what was happening, I was on the way up. And this is why it's so critical to think about eventualities and thinking about what can go wrong before you take off. There were a number of contributing factors. Now, they weren't the cause of the mistake, but, they contribute. Obviously, the crosswind is something you have to be careful with. Feeling a bit rushed, having that pressure. The flaps. Normally on a aerotow, I set the flaps to -1, and this is so you have more aileron authority. For the initial part of the takeoff roll, on the winch we have +1 flap, which stays all the way up, which means my initial part of the ground roll has less aileron control than normal. I've also never had a wing drop in this glider on a winch before. I think I've done it in twins before with students. I was probably thinking about eventualities in much more detail when training a student to fly the winch. So there's a bit of complacency perhaps. You know, I've never had a problem before, so I was a bit too relaxed about it. We weren't off the ground yet. We were still on the ground, so the glider tends to keep tracking straight, and the wing drag doesn't flip you into the air as easily when you're still on the ground. Short, thin grass is quite dry out here. The grass is thin. It's not going to grab the wing very easily. That was probably the thing that saved my bacon. So what should I have done better? It's very simple. I should have thought about my eventualities properly before launching and pulled the release before the wing touched the ground. Sounds simple. So let's have a look how it should have been done. This is a great example of an Arcus launching on the winch in New Zealand. Both pilots went for the release within a split second of each other. You can see, even though they got to that release quickly, the winch still had enough energy to pull them forward and get that rotation happening. But you can see it's not a dramatic thing. That was also with the crosswind. Also, just see how short that grass was, and it still went round. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope that's useful. Hope you all have a good Christmas break. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're having a great time. We're about to do our National Gliding Championships in a few days, so I'm looking forward to that. Have a good one. Catch you next time.